Barry, I presume it's nice to have the certainty. We had the statement earlier today. You've got the two games from a planning perspective. I assume that's really useful.
Yeah, I mean that was I kind of thought that would be the case initially anyway, but now just with confirmation of that. But yeah, we'll say we take the next two games. We'll prepare as best we can for them.
Having said that, you've not really had too much time to catch your breath with the Saturday, Tuesday. Just a case of ploughing on, really.
Well, that's it. Again, I did mention that with the game load that we have, it's a lot of just play, recover, and then a lot of stuff just in the classroom to talk about opposition. Maybe we've had a little bit of benefit with the fixtures against Stevenage and Bolton coming up that we obviously recently had the game called off against Stevenage, so we'd done quite a bit of work on them. So the players are quite aware of what they look like, and then we played Bolton a week ago as well, so we're familiar with that. So it'll just be plenty of reminders for them.
Yeah, and with Stevenage in that sense, they are a side where they just have such a strong blueprint, don't they? Steve Evans' sides, they do exactly what's written on the tin. You know what their strengths are going to be.
Yeah, I mean that's why I think he's such a successful manager and has been such a successful manager, because I always think the best teams have the best identity, and you'd probably be able to tell. You know, if you didn't show the crest on the shirt, you'd be able to tell. You know, really. A progressive team, they go forward, they make you defend. You know, they're a good team, and you know it's not surprising. He's had a brilliant managerial career, and he keeps doing it.
Yeah, and it's having that positivity in the sense of just being really confident in what you do. And as an opponent, when you look at a side like Stevenage, yeah, you can see those strengths, and you can try and work out ways to stop them. But the tricky bit is it is really hard, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the games. Yeah, that's what it is. You have to be able to cope with them for sure. You don't. At times, you can with the style that they play. You can almost end up mirroring the way they play. So you have to find moments to be you, and bring control in the game, because the games can be a little bit chaotic, and I think that probably suits them. You know, they're excellent at what they do, so we'll have to be ready for what's coming, and we'll have to bring control in the moments that we can, and show ourselves as well.
Yeah, that happened a bit with the game at the Abbey back in August, and it was a really strong used performance, but you did get a bit sucked into doing what Stevenage wanted to do.
Yeah, maybe. God, it was such a long time ago. Your memory's better than mine now. I barely remember it, but I remember they got the better of us that day. I thought, yeah, from recollection, it was a reasonably good performance. But you know, tomorrow's a new game. You know, we'll look to, again, we have to cope with their physical threat, and then we'll have to bring control in the moments we can, and have our own threat.
Yeah, and trying to apply your own identity as well, which I suppose, given what's happened over the past week or so, is a little bit harder given all of the flux. But there are certain things we saw at the weekend, I think, that we would really associate as Cambridge United strengths that you can build on.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think, you know, obviously Peterborough, good opposition. We set the team up, whether it was easy to see with a dynamic forward players, and hoping to take advantage of counter-attacking situations, and hoping to attack with real speed, and then trying to really get after the ball high up the pitch as well, and see how many high regains we could get. And I think it worked for the most part in the first half. We got after them. We had plenty of regains in their half, and then I did mention it after the game as well. Maybe we put so much effort in without the ball and getting after it, that we probably, you know, lacked the energy to have that little bit of quality that we needed to find the goal.
And I guess something you have to be careful with the team selection for Stevenage, in that you've had Peterborough at the weekend, and then Bolton as well, these sides that are really happy on the ball and make you do a lot of work off it. So factoring all of that in around the physical and the mental fatigue.
Yeah, that's it. You know, we're aware that, you know, the game takes a lot out of the players, and you just hope that when you don't get the result, that because they've put such physical commitment into it, that it doesn't, you know, don't get downhearted from it, because there was a lot of good in the performance. The respect of the opposition were good, but I hope that the players seen the game for what it was. That, you know, we gave a good account of ourselves. And ultimately the goal that decided the game was a bit of a freak one, or a cross that went in the back post. So, you know, hopefully they aren't too downhearted by it, and we can go into Stevenage with the same kind of application and same intensity and the same vigour that we did on Saturday, and see what that brings.
Yeah, and League One, endlessly fascinating really, in the sense that at the weekend you're playing a side like Peterborough with their strength, then you get Stevenage on Tuesday night, and I would imagine particularly with picking your forward line, horses for courses, the options that you've got in there, it's a different sort of thought process for Tuesday and what Stevenage might have in terms of their defence.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. You generally you pick a team. I guess initially you want to be, you want the game to look as much as you can the way we want it to, but you have to respect opposition, and sometimes you have to make sure that there's players on the pitch that can deal with what the opposition have as well. So there's definitely a bit of a thought process on player profile for the opposition, and then like you mentioned, it's the two teams that have a different way of attacking games. So that's been in my thought process with selecting the team.
And aside from the potential fatigue and freshness, knocks and niggles all okay after the weekend?
Yeah, pretty much everything's okay. There's one little issue with Jibril, which is almost like a personal health issue. So maybe we can give you an update on that later on in the week.
Yeah, for him, nice to be back in the squad though at the weekend, and nice to be playing a part, having sat out a few.
Yeah, I would like to think he'd be desperate to get back in. I guess the reason I took Ryan off late at the end, and I just thought I think it was the 85th minute, so there was probably about 10 minutes to go in the game in total, and I just thought, well, if the game, I thought we were going to have a right go at it, and we couldn't quite sustain the pressure, but I thought, Gibbs' pace at the back would help if we did try to, throw a few extra men forward. So that was the thought process behind that. But yeah, he was. I'm sure he'll be happy to get back in. And this little setback, we're kind of waiting on news for Jibril, but he's an important member of our squad.
Brilliant, that's great for me.
All right.
Just one from me, Barry. We all know Stevenage's strengths. Where are the sort of places you think you can maybe hurt them tomorrow night?
Well, that's the thing I mentioned. You can find your way mirroring Stevenage in loads of ways. It's hard. You have to bring control and bring out your attacking threats, and that's just finding a couple of passes to. Initially, it's a real second ball game. I think against Stevenage. I think if you can dominate the second ball, you can dominate the game. You can't get away from that. You can't change that because they will make that happen in the game. But if you can find a couple of extra passes to find the space on the pitch, then you can get our quality players on the ball and attacking in areas where we want to attack.
Does that mean the midfield might be key then, picking up them second balls and maybe getting them extra passes away?
Midfield is absolutely key. Yeah, I would imagine that they definitely fill numbers, whatever shape they play, whatever system they play. They always flood numbers around where the ball's going to be. Oftentimes it's a diamond in midfield, so they get loads of numbers around second balls. So we'll have to be thoughtful of that and make sure we have numbers that will certainly match them and maybe even try to overload them in them areas. And then it's finding moments to, like I said, find a couple of passes to bring control to kind of open out then the game.
Perfect, good from me.
Hi Barry.
Hi Stephen, all right?
Hi, yeah, all good, thanks, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, good.
Just wanted to ask you a bit more about this club statement that was put out earlier today, saying you're in charge for the next 2 games. For clarity, has it been communicated to you that the club will be expecting to appoint a new head coach by the Northampton game?
No, to be fair, I've not spoke to them. I'm sorry, I started to lean in there because I could barely hear you. Nothing's been said to me, and I had to go online and read the statement before I came on, so I knew what it said. But they did say to me that they were making a statement that it was going to be the next couple of games. They're in the process, and I guess I don't really ask for updates. And they know that I'm kind of prepping for Bolton up to that point, so that's where I'm at the minute. I'd imagine then they'll speak to me. If that's going to go beyond that, they'll speak to me. But that's there's nothing really that needs to be said in the meantime.
I guess, therefore, there hasn't been any indication as to whether you'll have a job to return to once the new person comes in.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. I'm waiting on that.
Yeah, no worries. I just wondered as well, how difficult is it to be a caretaker boss? Because I imagine you've got your ideas of how you want the game to be played, but you haven't really got the time to implement them.
No, yeah, that's exactly it. I don't. The reality of the situation is that we don't really, like, we went out today and trained, but it was more for physical benefits for the players to get them moving again. It's difficult. There's not much, like I say, we can implement in training. I know I'm doing this on a short period, so I can't make drastic changes. All I can do is just bring out. We do have quality in the team. I need to try to get us to play in what I think, and I think what all the lads agree is the best version of ourselves. We have to be that, and that's what I will focus on. So yeah, it's kind of delicate. The situation, no training time, and the kind of, there's limitations to it, but that's what we'll try to do. I think there's a kind of a blueprint of what I think and what most of the lads agree that what we're best at, and we'll try to show that in these games.
Have you got an update on Sekou Jana's injury at all? I think Neil mentioned when he was here that he had a knee injury.
Yeah, literally, I've just come from spending a little bit of time with Sake, so he's off now to see a specialist, and he's having an injection. I can't give you a timescale on it, but he's the physio's taking him for injection today, and then there might be a bit of an update on how that reacts.
And you mentioned as well about you doing a diploma in football management. Is that part of your coaching badges? And if so, how far along are you with those coaching badges?
I've done all, so I need to do my diploma is with the LMA, and it lasts, so I started it in the summer, and it'll finish in this summer with there's a residential week last summer and next summer, and then every kind of 2 months we have days, so that's the time scale on that. In terms of my coaching badges, I've done all that. I just need to do my pro license, and then I've done a degree in my degree in psychology as well. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That will finish in the summertime, and then I think the pro license is the next big one for me to do.
That's great. Just finally as well, I remember you saying around the Fleetwood game that you were planning to go for a beer with Bonds. I just wondered if you've kept in touch with him since he left. Yeah,
I have done. Yeah, I never quite made a beer. We went for a coffee instead. It was 10 o'clock in the morning, so I still wanted to have a beer, but he said coffee. So yeah, he's in good form. He's doing lots, keeping himself busy. He's been visiting lots of clubs and everything. So it's we worked together for a long time. We're still friendly. So yeah, we keep in touch.